Gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the 2013 MLG Winter Championship. We're winding out day number 2. My name is axeltoss, of course, joined by the wonderful totalbiscuit, who just came over from Redstream.
Yeah, I had to walk at least 5 feet, which was...
They should install a treadmill,
I'm thinking
so we don't have to do that.
They should install a treadmill so we can get some damn exercise instead of sitting around here all day like lazy bastards that we are.
I was thinking the opposite, where they have a moving walkway so we don't have to walk this one.
A travelator.
Is that what it's called?
There was you remember you had American Gladiators, didn't you? That was a series. Yeah, we had Gladiators in the UK. We didn't call it like English Gladiators. We just called it Gladiators.
Right.
And the final challenge was the travelator, where basically it was like running up an escalator, which was kind of the lamest thing in the world, but it's like, prove your might, run up this escalator. We've got a bracket for you, ladies and gentlemen, so let's check out the championship escalator.
Yeah.
Who is escalating onwards? Well, you can see some round of 8 competition. Yeah. MC versus Bomber. Oh, that's so exciting. Look at that. Bomber takes out Tasia and is now facing off against MC. Bomber, the legendary Terran versus Protoss, going up against MC, who just took out MVP. That will be electrifying.
You know, every one of those matches so far looks phenomenal. They're all PVTs, which is interesting. What's also interesting is what we have left to commentate, which is the top left quadrant there. We have 2 Terrans and 2 Zergs. And if we're talking about the story of this tournament so far, a little thing called the Ignite Afterburner has been quite the topic of discussion.
It has, yes. Probably the most potent upgrade given to any unit thus far in Heart of the Swarm, and something that a lot of people are struggling to deal with. We saw MC deal with it by killing his opponent before he got any. That seems to work pretty well. He also was able to actually deal with drops using a Stargate Phoenix-based play, which even allowed him to lift up the Widow Mines as they were dropped and kill them before they were even able to burrow, which was very impressive. But you're right, Terran are doing well here, but we do have the... Well, look at the caliber of Terran we've got. We've got Flash, Innovation, Bomber, and of course we could very well be seeing Polt advancing against Life. That's going to be on the red stream. We've got Last, who is perhaps the most underrated Terran here, even though he is an absolute monster. And he will be facing off in this matchup, which is going to be the final cast here on Blue tonight, against Killer, who is the final. He is the final non-Korean in this tournament. Sen is out. Sen lost to Parting.
One of 2 final Zergs. So there's a number of final things going on here, as far as can any Zerg make it to the next round. And we have Life playing Polt. That should be phenomenal. It should be interesting to see who comes out of that. But Killer, you know, he took down Thorzane. Can he continue his upset run? You know, is it wrong to call it that? Because I feel like Thorzane would be the favorite in that match. I don't want to misspeak, though.
Killer is really good.
He is.
And no one really knows about it.
Yeah.
He beat QXC to get here, which in itself is pretty good. 3-0 in a Terran versus Zerg in Heart of the Swarm beta against QXC, who is one of the more accomplished American Zerg players. Killer now on Complexity. If I recall correctly, used to be on Team Dignitas.
Yes. Oh, actually, Killer is now on Clarity.
Yes, he's on Clarity now. He used to be on Dignitas a while ago. It was a while ago, in fact. Clarity is actually a great up-and-coming team, and they are producing some really fantastic talent. But he has gone up against Last.
Yes.
Now, Last is called Last for many reasons. He's the last thing you see before you die. Yes. He's the last thing his team deploys before they win their series in Pro League. And he may very well be the last opponent that Killer gets to face in this particular matchup. And the funny thing is, look at how much we don't know about this guy.
That's the story behind the Pro League Koreans. They spend all of their time in Korea doing their thing in Pro League. Of course, for the viewers who aren't necessarily familiar with that, it's one of the highest regarded tournaments over in Korea right now.
Absolutely.
The absolute best players in the world play in this tournament. These teams take this Pro League very seriously. They're in pro houses. They're practicing hours and hours a day just for like maybe even 1 match on a weekend. Very serious stuff over there.
That's absolutely true. And the mysterious thing is that the format is so different, it's actually kind of hard to judge skill, because you're talking about preparing potentially for a week for 1 map against 1 opponent with 1 specific build. And that could very well just be it. But Last is very accomplished. He's certainly not a no-name. and he beat Soulkey to get here. 100-star Soulkey, of all people.
That was an epic matchup.
It
was a 3-2 victory. So if you haven't had a chance to catch that, definitely check out youtube.com/official MLG SE2. A great matchup there. So it's interesting in that both of these players, to get to this point, at least the Winter Season Showdowns, they defeated the race they're playing, right? Killer won a ZVT against QXD, last winning that TBZ against Soulkey. So that sets the stage for a phenomenal matchup. These guys, presumably very confident in this matchup. And again, it's the underdog story again for Killer. I mean, he's the last non-Korean.
Yeah, it really, really is. And some would say that he's only still in the tournament because he happened to go up against a foreign player first. And it's almost a cruel thing to say, but not going up against a top-tier Korean and getting knocked out in the round of 32 is definitely an advantage. But now he has to face up against Last, and this is where the true test begins. Can he prove himself? Can this be his breakthrough performance? Even getting through to the round of 8 when no other foreigner has achieved that would be a massive merit for him. That would really put his name on the map. Can he pull it off against Last? We will find out. Stefano couldn't do it. Stefano was smashed 3-0.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And the first map is going to be Daybreak. What a map to start off such an important series as this. A best of 5 to determine who advances to the next round of the 2013 MLG Winter Championships. The last non-Korean is in the building. He is your Red Zerg player in the bottom left-hand location. He is Killer.
Versus his opponents. Dangerous man indeed. In the blue trunks, playing Terran to the northeast. It is STX Soul's Last.
Now, Killer, of course, hails from Chile. I think he might be actually living in New York right now, because I know Clarity Gaming has a team house there.
Yeah, I believe he is, and he's along there with people like Juktu as well.
Yes.
Their training house is definitely populated. It's a nice one too, actually.
Have you been able to see it?
I have.
Is this through like a webcam from the player, or were you able to?
I was able to see a lot of pictures and some video and things like that.
Cool.
I talked to the Clarity Gaming guys quite a lot. I respect their team greatly because they're kind of a sort of startup team, popping up kind of around the same time as sort of Axiom was building up as well. And we felt a bit bad because they made announcements, unluckily, on the same day as we did. And every time they announced something, we sort of didn't realize, made an announcement like, oh, damn. If we'd known, we would have kind of waited a day just to make sure that you guys got the attention you deserve. But Clarity Gaming is a really solid team. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of them in 2013. This could be the year where we do see some serious breakthroughs from those guys. They know what they're doing. They're working hard. Now, this would be the first of those breakthroughs, if he can make that happen. Defeating Thorzane is impressive in and of itself. Defeating Last, on the other hand,
that would be
phenomenal.
Yes.
That it really, really would, if he can pull this off. Now, what we have seen from Last up to this point is extremely aggressive play. What we're seeing now is a CC first.
Now, this is fairly common on Daybreak. A very long rush distance map. You have the ability to scout out your opponent with an SCV. There's not much they can do to deny scouting, at least deny scouting, an early gas, which is where you start freaking out, building an extra bunker. But most Terran players nowadays on this map, placing down that command center, they get a bunker a little bit later on. They kind of nudge it behind their command center, so it's kind of hard to access if your opponent tries to do some aggression. But again, that scouting is going to be very, very important because there are some builds out of Zerg players that kind of get started after that SCV is taken out. They'll throw down a gas, they'll put down a roach swarm, and they'll just push with 8, 9, 10 roaches, and then they'll do nothing but droning behind that. But if the Terran player is not able to predict that, is not able to see it coming, it definitely has the potential to do a significant amount of damage. Of course, the roach's purpose, target down those SCVs. You're not necessarily worried about killing a bunker, killing Marines, winning the game. You want to go after your opponent's economy. So it can be a dangerous build here from Last, but I feel like he's a player who's good enough where he's done this so much, he knows all the options. I don't think he's worried at all.
No, I don't think so, honestly. And it's also a situation where things get so funky if you try and take a third base in this situation because you can end up with Terran aggression just bombing right through to that, especially if you happen to have Hellions coming out, and now the additional danger of the Widow Mine being placed in the actual mineral line itself, which is potentially devastating as well. Nice little scout here by Killer. very important just to keep an eye, make sure there's no SCV ready to slip in and get a later scout, make sure there's no silly proxy nonsense, and of course any hidden units. And he is going to spot one Marine, and he'll see another one, but that scout is going to get shut down pretty quickly. And now we find out, what is Last going to be using here? This reactor's not quite lined up with the actual factory itself, but it's close enough to indicate that there will be a swap over.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely going to be happening here. Of course, the factory's going to be finishing a little bit earlier. Oh, he's actually going to queue up a Widow Mine here. So
yeah, that's really smart. I like that. I mean, it might just be a single Widow Mine into Reactor Hellion.
And then move it on over to that reactor.
It could, yeah.
Turning out. You know, the Widow Mine can be a great tool just to place at your opponent's third base. And then it's going to be very annoying.
This is insanity. Last with a third base down on the low ground.
Wow.
Already. That is gutsy. And going 3 base this early on against a 2 base Zerg shows an insane amount of confidence.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. This is a best of 5. This is game 1. So these are things you can afford to do. It's a calculated risk. You know, in Killer, from what I saw in his winter season showdown matches, he played very passively against QXC. He wanted the game to go to the late game. And we see that's kind of being shown right now. He's making a lot of drones, making those gases, but putting down 2 evolution chambers, so really wanting to prioritize those upgrades. Yeah. Already taking that 3rd hatchery, so definitely comfortable pushing this a little bit later on into the game.
Certainly. Now, the question is, what is he going to do? He can't just let Last sit on 3 bases. He cannot. He must do something. Double Evo Chambers going down and the Roach War, and their double engineering base coming up for Last. Of course. I mean, why would you not on 3 bases? The notion of not doing that is just ridiculous. It would be a waste of your time. What we're seeing is interesting, because we're seeing the double evolution chamber build into missile attack and Carapace, which indicates, of course, early Roach pressure into potentially Roach Hydra.
And to potentially Roach Hydra Viper.
Yeah.
You know, Blinding Cloud has proven to be very good against siege tanks at the very least. Now, Last already has Stim underway. He has 2 more barracks on the way, so that implies he's going to go for the heavy bio, and that's when Vipers become a little bit more of an issue. It becomes a sticky situation where I feel like if you Blinding Cloud the bio units, they're not going to be able to attack, so they get closer to you. And then more of them can actually attack you once they're that close, so it can be very dangerous. So if you're going to use Blinding Cloud against Bio, you want to get those Infestors out so you can hold that Bio in place. So not only that they can't shoot, but they can't move.
That's very, very true. You do need a lot of Hydras in that composition as well, though. Blinding Cloud is nice, but you've got to bear in mind, of course, that it doesn't completely remove your ability to shoot. It only reduces the range of it. And against Roaches, who only have range 3 to begin with, it's not as helpful as you might think. If you've got a lot of Hydras, though, behind a Roach wall, there's no way you get into those Hydras in a million years. If the Blinding Cloud's there, it's a perfect opportunity to take advantage of that and just really get that damage thrown in the direction of the Terran player.
Now, something Killer is going to have to be aware of fairly soon, as we see actually 4 Hellions running to the 3rd base of Killer here, going after that mineral line. Drones are a little bit vulnerable here, trying to run as fast as they can. 2 Queens coming up, a Roach as well. And that workers killed down really quick. 6 workers killed, and he only lost 1 Hellion. Okay, maybe 2.
There's the second.
Well,
actually, apparently Last doesn't care. He's losing a 3rd Hellion there, which makes that trade. I mean, it's not a terrible trade, but it could have been way better.
He's okay with it. I mean,
15 drones coming out right here from Killer. He just powers right back into that. All right, you killed 6 drones. I'm just build 15 more. No big deal.
All right, here's something we have to watch out for. With this heavy bio play, with all these barracks going down, the starport is done. 2 medevacs on the way. Drops.
Drops, yes.
Very important. We got to look out for those. How is Killer going to prepare for those? It's not like he's going mutas to shut down the airplay. He's going for that Roach Hydra composition we talked about before. So it's like, what's the proper answer? Do you put down that static defense? Do you make sure you have like a couple of Hydras in each base? We see some spores going down, though, just as I say that by Killer. So definitely starting to prepare for those. But if he can control the drops from Last, if he can make sure they're not doing a ridiculous amount of damage to his mineral lines, which is very hard to accomplish, might I say, you know, he's going to be set up very nicely as this enters the later stages.
What do you make of this humanized Carapace? Because if this was Wings of Liberty like 2 years ago, I would have said he's making this to create a creep highway for the Hydras to attack.
Right.
That's not really all that relevant now. It's an interesting maneuver. We'll see where it goes. Okay, here comes the drop right now. The Spore Crawler's, of course, going to get picked up. The problem is a single Spore Crawler isn't enough to stop a double drop. It's just not going to happen. You need something to defend. And right now, if the lair actually goes down here, which it could, the lair going down so early would be an absolute disaster here. He's got no transfuse. The lair's down already. I can't imagine that Last thought he was actually going to be able to do that. But he just took the lair out, straight up.
He saw a vulnerability, and he went for it, and it definitely paid off. He's going to lose his bio army, and Killer's going to have to remake that layer. Now, it's important to note some of the important tech is already on the field. So the Hydrogen is already there. The Infestation Pit is already there. So as far as what the layer might actually affect...
Not a huge amount. I mean, obviously it delays him going to Hive to go for 3-3, for instance.
The big thing is going to be the mining time in the main base.
Definitely.
And, of course, the gas there in the main base as well. So, you know, Killer is definitely going to be hurting. Ooh, nice. Taking out that medevac. But, again, like we were just talking about that. You got to be able to control the drops from your opponent. And that's going to be a story of this series. Can Killer manageably react to these medevac drops that are going to be insane from last?
Now, this is starting to get interesting. That is the Drilling Claws upgrade. I love this, and I don't know why more people don't get it. What Drilling Claws does is it allows you to burrow in 1 second instead of 3. In fact, I think it might even be less than 1 second. It's 3 times as fast. And this allows you to set up Widowmine flanks. It allows you to burrow Widowmines in the center of an ongoing engagement and makes target fire incredibly difficult. Another drop comes in right there, catching drones, doing a little bit of damage here and there, taking out a Queen as well.
My gosh.
Oh, wow. The army's the entire side away. He's not even going to be able to get his hatchery up. Brings out a couple of Hydralisks. He's going to, well, I don't know. I mean, he's trying to get the medevac, and actually Last pulls back there.
Whenever drones have to attack, it's never fun, and this drop is still going to be very annoying indeed. Killer down to 108 supply last, showing complete control. He's on 3 bases. He's just sending drops everywhere. We're going to drop his 3rd base as well, taking out drones. Killer being spread out so much, and last, he's just having fun at this point, I feel like. It's just like advantage after advantage. He's gaining them.
Yeah, he really is. And with the Drilling Claws upgrade, he's going to be able to mine, literally mine the entire map if he's not careful. In both ways, because you get so many Widowmines out, you have the ability to re-maneuver them and place them much quicker, and you have that control, which allows you to simply stop anyone from attacking you, and then you can just pick whatever you want, grab whatever base you like, and you can use them aggressively. 3 Widowmines at a time now coming out here. This count is going to get really, really nasty really quickly. Now, the Hydra Force is reduced, to say the least, after those drops.
Absolutely. Again, and like honestly, some of his units, I wouldn't be surprised, would probably be spread out across the map here, trying to deal with all of this harassment. So he's got to make sure to get his army together. Maybe keep a couple. I'm just wondering, what's the best way to deal with this? I'm just trying to think about it in my mind. Like he's leaving some Roaches and Hydras back home, but that's army that's not going to be with his main army to deal with this ferocious push here from last. He's coming up the middle of the map. He's maxed at the 15-minute mark, sending the Widowmines forward, and look at that, burrowing so fast. Killer trying to desperately retreat, but last has a stranglehold on his opponent, and now he's just going to start pressing down.
That he does. That base is going to die. There's no way of stopping that really from happening. There's 11 Hydras coming out here, which may be able to fight, but it would require a fairly exceptional concave and flank to make that work, especially with tanks available to actually buffer that damage, and Widowmines all over the place. It makes attacking this very difficult. He's going to try and collapse the flank, and he is able to do some damage, but he takes more tank fire to driven away immediately. Killer taking a lot more hits. His opponent currently maxed. A Viper, a single Viper is currently coming out. Second Viper coming in here as well. If he can hold on, maybe he can turn this around, but Last is still maxed.
Yeah, honestly, Last is just, he's running away with this. He's even dropping in his opponent's main base while this is going on, so Killer is trying to face the main army of Last, and he's trying to respond to a drop in the main base as well. And he always has to be worried about Widowmines, because the Widowmines are absolutely everywhere, and they have Drilling Claws. He can burrow them so fast. Last looks like he got caught off guard there a little bit. 3 Widowmines unable to burrow, but again, he's coming in from every single direction. He's essentially staying maxed. He's working on 3-3. He has a 4th base going down. So Killer needs, I don't know what he can do to come back.
I don't know if it's as bad as we think it is. Mostly because Killer's not really been losing a lot of supply, but he is about to now as he goes in for this engagement here. And a Widowmine picks off a Viper as well. Blinding Cloud goes down on the tanks, which is great. He's going to be able to pick those off as well. Last actually loses a lot of supply here. The Vipers were key, certainly, and is. No, let's take stock of what he's actually got. 71 drones. He did have a mining main. He's not going to have it in a minute. He's got a lot of Hydralisks, and he's got Vipers available. So, and he's got a lot of creep spread as well, going towards the center. He can defend, maybe, and there's also a lot of supply in Widowmines, which sounds great when you think about it, but if they're getting shut down by Overseers or Spore Crawlers, and they're not actually doing the right amount of damage, then that's wasted supply in like 45-second chunks there. But that's me being pretty optimistic.
Yeah.
If I'm totally honest. That's me trying to find the best of this position.
No,
Killer's still behind. There's no doubt.
He is, and it's going to be such a tough road, because he's on 3 bases, right? He's on 6 gases. And as a Zerg player, generally the general idea, you want to stay 1 base ahead. And I don't even know, Last I don't even know if he's going to allow him to take a 4th base because Last is just continuing to macro up. He's already back up to 188 supply. I don't think he's going to stop with this relentless aggression. He's sent 2 medevacs into his opponent's main base pretty much every 2 minutes throughout this entire game, even starting at the 2-minute mark. Not really, but you get what I'm saying? It's like he's just absolutely relentless with these drops, not letting Killer even breathe to even think about taking a 4th base.
Here we go once again, and there's not a lot of meat at the front here. I don't like it. There's a couple of blinding clouds going down. Widowmine connects and abducts. Doesn't actually kick. I don't know what the hell happened with that.
Ignite Afterburners right when that happened, so it was less of a...
It was able to get away. Yeah, he's trying to pull him out of position into the Hydras there. But as you said, Killer is on the ropes here. He's not out of it. He's still got 3 bases. It's going to be a 2 base if he's not able to hold here. These Hydralists, I mean, they do a great job, but he doesn't quite have enough here, and he doesn't have any static defense either. He's desperately trying to get a larger army here, and now Last is posturing towards the 3rd base, and this could be the make or break battle here.
Stimming for the Marines and Marauders, only 1 medevac overhead, so I guess that could be a good thing, but here comes some more medevac and Marine Marauder reinforcing the 3rd base.
Getting targeted down.
Here comes the Vipers onto the blinding cloud, but again, that just lets the Marines and Marauders get even closer to that damage. You need that fungal to be there with the blinding cloud to really be as effective as you want to be. There's the GG from Killer.
There
Last with a commanding victory. Look at him, he's just so cool. He's like,
he's chill.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's okay. That's just what's going through his mind right
now.
It's like, okay, can we get on to game 2 now?
Yeah.
Now, it's hard to say that things were particularly in the favor of Killer at any point during that game.
It's, just once those drops started happening. Well, like again, once you lose that layer. Like that was the point that cannot happen. That cannot, especially against a player like Last. Keep in mind, Last started with the crazy 3 command center opening, right?
On the low ground as well.
On the low ground.
It's not like he built it in his base to just get a few extra mules and get a few extra SCVs in his main mineral line or his natural. No, he just built it right down there.
Yep.
And there was no response. I mean, it's unexpected, don't get me wrong. And it's something that his opponent wasn't able to capitalize on. He wasn't able to attack. And in that position, you must do damage. I mean, it's not a case of, I'll just build one more base than him. What, you're going to get 4 hatcheries at the 6-minute mark? No, you're not. That's just not going to work out. And then you're just going to get murdered. You'll be far too spread out, and there's no way you're going to defend drops in those positions. It's hard enough to hold it on 3 bases. So
it might be a map thing there. You know,
maybe,
Daybreak is one of those, you can kind of get away with that 3rd base as a Terran player. So we'll have to see how these players adjust. The next map is going to be Akalon Way. So before we get into game number 2, though, we're going to have a quick break. Stay tuned, though. Last is currently up 1-0 against Killer. We'll be right back with more action from the 2013 MLG Winter Championship.